It's time for our regular Future Shock 2.0 segment with workforce trends expert Ira Wolfe, with more here for us on quiet quitting. Ira has the latest updates and some fabulous insights. Quiet quitting is still a trend. Ira, apparently it's the status quo.
Yeah, John, it's great to be back. Yeah, it's quiet quitting is still there. I mean, it's quiet. Quiet quitting is very quiet. I guess that's appropriate. And let me just read some stats that I just pulled. And one is just a definition. And it's one might be employees who are at the work site regularly, but for a variety of reasons are not producing what they should. It accounts for about 80% of lost productivity, according to one report. It just goes on and on and on. The challenge is that was written, what I just read, was written in 2004.
Oh my gosh!
We called it presenteeism, or there was another clever name. It was actually warm chair attrition. So many things, we just give it a new name. It's a new time. It's a new name. It's a new generation. They never heard of that. But that book, by the way, I quoted from, I got 4 pages like that of stats, was from my first book, Perfect Labor Storm, 20 years ago. I wrote that. We're still talking about it. And prior to that, they were talking about presenteeism and loss of productivity. In fact, every year there was a major report that came out, unscheduled absences. There was an organization every year, the unscheduled absences, and how that was climbing substantially. So the reality is that quiet quitting's just another word for people showing up, taking a paycheck, trying to get away with as much as they can, or doing as little as they can. I guess they're getting away with as much as they can, but just getting paid for the time that they're there, checking in, checking out. The trend is still very much alive. We work with one of our partners on our podcast, Geeks, Geezers, and Googlization, is Avanti Cybersecurity, and they specialize in the everywhere workplace. And they just released a new report just a few weeks ago. And they found out of their survey, 1 in 3 office workers under 40 admit to quiet quitting. And 1 in 4 are considering leaving their jobs, which isn't very quiet. They may just not show up. So the trend is very, very, very much exists. And just the other day, my partner Jason attended a conference on company culture. And this is a yet to be released. So I can't wait for this whole report to come out by Gallup. But most people are pretty familiar that, Gallup's been studying employee engagement for the last 30 years. 40 years, in fact, and that last year it reached its peak, the highest level of employee engagement in their history. 33%, 1 out of 3 employees were engaged. That's pretty tragic after all the money that we spend on employee engagement and culture and management and leadership development. But this was startling. This came out of the new report. Only 1 out of 5 people, current employees, strongly agree that they feel connected to their organization's culture.
Oh my God.
Only 20%, 1 out of 5, 80%, in some respects, are either susceptible or are vulnerable to quiet quitting. And it's even worse for frontline. Out of the frontline, it was only 17%. So we got a problem. I mean, quiet quitting's nothing new. Whether you call it presenteeism or unscheduled absences or warm chair attrition, it's been around. It's really, nothing's changed. Leadership, management, the companies just haven't woken up and decided to many companies have not decided to wake up and treat people correctly. And the return to office mandates isn't helping.
And for those out there who may be somewhat confused, although our listeners in general know what quiet quitting refers to, why don't I just give, for clarity as well, the Investopedia definition. You referred to it yourself here earlier, Ira. Quiet quitting refers to doing the minimum requirements of one's job and putting in no more time, effort, or enthusiasm than absolutely necessary. As such, says Investopedia, it is something of a misnomer since the worker doesn't actually leave their position and continues to collect a salary. As they might say on the other side of the pond, real dossers.
And again, we've been around for a while. So as much as things change, some things seem to remain the same. We just give it a new name.
We'll have more from Ira Wolfe on our next episode. Ira is a workforce trends expert, a top 5 global thought leader in his field, author, public speaker, and host of the popular Geeks, Geezers, and Googlization podcast.